Yesterday, I talked with two of my students who are trying to improve their health, improve their energy, and they both said the same thing. One over the telephone and the other in a text to me. And they both said the same thing. I try to reduce eating animal products, but I can't. And so we talked about the reasons that they have that they can't. Now, if those are reasons or excuses, that is something for each person to evaluate. Let's look at one convenience. One student says it's just not convenient to be able to be eating plant based foods where I live or where I work. Other people will often say, well, it's the taste. I just can't stop eating uh, pieces of pork or pieces of a chicken because I love the taste so much. The third thing, a lot of people will sincerely be trying to make the changes, but they get pressure from the family, the mother or father or the spouse. And the fourth thing is that people feel they don't have any options. They don't see the alternatives of what they should be eating because they've been eating animals and animal products their whole lives. So these 4 points, let's talk about how we can address these issues and make some real progress in developing our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual well-being, and our overall energy. So let's talk about convenience. We might say, well, it's not convenient. Let's say where my office is, there are no plant-based options. Okay, fair enough. We have to deal with that and find something. But I wish to compare it to what about the convenience of the animal? Let's say it's a chicken, for example, and that chicken's been living in a cage for the last 6 months, very horrid conditions, and then it is slaughtered. And we know that. We don't see it, we don't do it with our own hands, but we are certainly smart enough to know that that animal suffered and was then slaughtered so that we could eat the flesh of that animal. Not very convenient for the chicken, to say the least. And we don't work in a slaughterhouse, so we're not dealing with the blood and the suffering. If you want to take this convenience thing one big step further, next time you're in your local hospital, have a look around. I don't mean be nosy, just have a look around and see how many sick people there are. And they're crowded. The hospitals that I've been to, when I go in for X-rays or a blood test or something like that, there's people everywhere, and they're all very, very sick. And the primary reason is because of the animal fats, animal proteins that they've been consuming for 40 or 50 years. They end up with a hospital bill in the millions. They can't possibly pay the hospital bills, let alone all the surgeries, procedures, and drugs that are further threatening their well-being. There's no way out. Talk about inconvenient. If we're talking about going to, let's say, a get together with friends, your old university friends, or a gathering with colleagues from work, then you need to check your options before you commit to the appointment. So if it's going to be on Friday night and the host suggests a particular restaurant, go online, check the menu, make sure you have 2 or 3 plant-based options at that restaurant. And if not, either you need to call the restaurant and figure something out, or talk to your host and apologize and say, hey, I can't make it. There's really nothing I can eat there. You need to have the authority to stand up for your own right to eat what you know is right and best for you. Now, a lot of people will talk about taste. So there are so many options. There are thousands of vegetables, there are thousands of grains, there are thousands of fruits, another 1,000 mushrooms. We have so many options. And here in the 2020s, there are so many plant-based faux meats. If you want a burger patty or chicken nuggets or even eggs or cheese, there are so many options that are made from plants. And these are going to be zero animal proteins, zero animal fats. Now, I do recognize that those foods are processed, but they're not nearly as dangerous as the animal proteins and animal fats and the lack of fiber that you're getting from the consumption of animal products. So next time you're at the supermarket, have a look and pick one up and try it. If you like it, go for it. If you don't like it, then next week when you're shopping, buy something else. Try again. experiment. This is an exploration of the culinary world. It's exciting. You are not being restricted. You are being shown a world of cuisine and exotic and amazing things that you can eat that do not depend on the suffering or the slaughter of an innocent animal. Something else here on the subject of taste. Ask yourself, do you really like the taste of meat? Of course, you're going to say yes. But wait a minute. Do you ever taste the meat itself? I would suggest only on rare occasions. For example, when you have chicken, you're adding salt and pepper and oil and tomatoes and garlic and onions and various other spices and sauces, and you're frying it or you're baking it, all of which totally disguise the actual taste of chicken flesh. If you take a dog or a cat, which are born carnivores, and you give them raw chicken or raw fish or pork, whatever it is, they will eat it straight away. No preparation, no spices, no cooking. They will gobble it right up because they are a born carnivore. They are a born carnivore, which humans are not, which is why we come up with this amazing thing that we all call recipes. But the truth is, a recipe is disguising the fact that you're eating, a corpse of a dead animal. And that's calling it as it is. I'm not being hyperbolic. I am not exaggerating. Think about it. That's what it is. So what is the taste? It's all the spices that make it taste so good. Think about it, and you'll see. Now, let's come to the third point here. The issue of family pressure. This depends on culture and family and tradition. So many people that I talk to will say, well, my mother insists that when I go there that I have to eat turkey or I have to eat such and such a casserole that has eggs and something from an animal in it. Well, if you talk to your parents or your grandparents in advance and say, I love you, I appreciate you cooking these things, but I don't consume them anymore. I've made changes in my life. I'm improving my health. I'm improving my energy. I want to increase my compassion for all beings. And so I respectfully will not be able to eat that dish. If you are willing to make some other dish that is plant-based, of course, I love you the same, but I will completely enjoy that dish. So you can address this with your elders in your family, or if it's your spouse, you need to talk about those issues. What is going to be for lunch? What is going to be for dinner? If it's colleagues, you also need to be able to speak up, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that if somebody invites you to a restaurant, check it out first. Or if you're going to another city, let's say for a meeting or a conference, go online, make a phone call, make sure there are options of plant-based foods there. And if not, either prepare them yourself or talk to the host or the committee and say, hey, I need something that I can eat there. What can we do? So you communicate. Again, you put forth your authority to request foods that you know are healthy and consistent with your spiritual and your values as a human being. Know your options. Okay, I mentioned a minute ago about the various faux meats, the mock meats, which are okay, but they are very highly processed. What about other options which are plants? For example, tofu. And you're going to say it. Go ahead, say it. Oh, I hate tofu. Give me a break. There are hundreds of types of tofu out there. Check them out. Some you will like, some you will not like. Firm or soft or extra firm. Whatever, experiment. Every time you go to the market, try a new one, cook it up. If you like it, stick with it. If you don't like it, move on. Move on. Try something else. The same is true for mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, try a different one. There are hundreds of different ones. Every season, different things are coming along. This is just like an extravaganza of planet Earth, which if you are willing to make these experiments and try new things, open your mind, open your heart, open your mouth, and put new foods in where there's no violence, no slaughter involved, physically you're going to be much healthier. The scientific evidence totally confirms that. And spiritually, your own experience will confirm this for you. If you want to be true to yourself, you need to be true to all beings. If you want to have compassion for all beings, you need to start with these very, very important changes. And this is showing compassion for all other beings, including yourself. This is a very exciting time, and this is your opportunity to change, to be true, enjoy, and see the compassion rise in your own heart.